let me bring Gregory on. And I say hi to Gregory. Gregory, how you doing? How do you pronounce the name, Gregory?
Yes, good to see you. Yeah, I'm very happy to present. I have this opportunity to go live and talk about the rise of codeless automation. Just a little bit of introduction about myself. I'm Gregor Goldstein. I've been in the QA industry for over 20 years now. I started at one of the first projects, I guess, as far as QA goes. I worked at Canon back in the day, and if you remember the digital PowerShot cameras,
Oh, yeah, remember those?
yeah, so back in those days, you had to basically transfer the content to a computer, and there was no cloud. But nowadays, everything changed. So I'm proud to say that I was one of the first people to test Canon PowerShot.
Nice, that was well done. Interesting. Yeah, very interesting. So, on that note, and just as you bring yourself in, what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you the whole stage, and you could, it's all to you. And like I say, whatever questions the audience have, I will come back to you in at the end, and we could always go through some of the questions, if any, or we could have a little chat, and depending on what's happening. So, Gregory, it's good to meet you, and floor is yours.
All right. So today I'm gonna talk about the rise of the codeless test automation, and I've actually been just last week as a host at the booth for a company called Mabel, and it was in a Disneyland hotel for Star West conference. I actually walked around the booth and I saw all these newcomers, some of the famous companies that are already established, but also it was interesting to see some of the presentations from the industry, because it covers a whole lot of type of technologies that are coming up to the market. And so in this presentation, I'm going to talk about what's there today and what's coming up, and how AI-powered tools will be the future of test automation and QA. So let's go to the next slide. Essentially, the new tools that are coming up have less code to write, right? So the goal is to have more coverage, better tests, and at a higher quality. And we all experience the traditional test frameworks. We all went through Selenium. Cypress is pretty popular. But the thing is, you still have to build the tests and essentially maintain them. So in the good old days, everybody was trying to code, right? Developers were coding, QA started to code as well. And essentially, it takes valuable resources, it takes time. We already covered the maintenance cost. It takes quite a good amount of funding from projects because you have to hire engineering and QA. It takes time from the in-sprint automation as well, because the speed of release is increasing. It's also expensive to build the frameworks. It's all coded solution. Obviously, you have to customize it. You have to build custom functions around the framework to accommodate. And then when application evolves, you also have to keep the updates, and it's a constant kind of loop. And it's a challenge for a QA team. And essentially, in the beginning, we had a lot of manual testing going on. And nowadays, we have the no-code ways, right? So when you compare on the left-hand side the criteria as far as test case creation, technical expertise, flexibility and power, the maintenance and effort, learning curve, and all that. If you compare no-code test automation solution to the coded on the right-hand side column and the slide, you will see that in the comparison, the no-code test automation trumps traditional test automation methods, and it's actually growing in popularity and in adoption. And the market is expanding as we speak. So on this next presentation, I would like to talk about the differences, like what is no-code automation, right? Essentially, it refers to practice of automating the software without writing too much code, obviously, and it's usually achieved through specialized tools and platforms that allow you to create this automation using visual interfaces. Could be a drag and drop solution, could be a robotic process automation, and it's actually aiming to simplify the authoring of your scripts. It doesn't involve a lot of programming experience. It's good for manual QA testers who are coming into test automation. Maybe they've never used the coded solutions in the past. I was able to actually train marketing team here at Fox who had never used any test automation tool and be able to transition to scriptless solutions. And in the past, typically we had record and playback functionalities where we would record a script and then play back. But nowadays, the new tools out in the market are way more complex than that. There are visual frameworks available. They are AI-powered and AI-based and machine learning-based tools. And just to simply put, the no-code test automation offers a way to streamline software testing process and improve quality of the product. Let's look at the industry trends. When you look at AI and no-code tools, according to Gartner research, by 2027, almost 80% of enterprises will have integrated artificial intelligence tools in the software engineering tool chain. And it's a significant increase from 2022, where we only had 10%. So obvious benefits: ease of use, faster test creation, lower cost, improved collaboration between multiple teams, engineering, QA, or anybody who is using the solution. It's more efficient. And accessibility, because it will democratize testing for everyone, right? You don't have to have higher level programming skills. And it will ensure that all the stakeholders can contribute to the software quality in your company. So if we look at the evolution, we started back in the day when we had the waterfall models and then in early 2000s we start transitioning to the agile and then DevOps, and nowadays we have high velocity testing, which is it transitioned all the way from the manual testing and then early days of test automation, then continuous testing, and now AI augmented testing. And for example, many of the modern day QA teams, when it comes to automation, they cover a variety of tests. It could be web, it could be API, it could be UI, and all these tools that are out there on the market will try to cover the entire spectrum. So it should address the end automation bottleneck. It should end automation bottlenecks. I mean, not entirely, but the end-to-end tests will be built faster. It will meet a lot of the growing expectations and cover the gap in the skill set, maximize productivity, and ultimately it will deliver quality at a much higher speed and accelerate delivery of high quality applications that are business critical. It's capable to do visualizations, meaning you have a simple and intuitive user interface nowadays that allows for tests in different browsers, screen resolutions, locations, and operating systems. It can cover multiple browser versions. It takes videos and screenshots along the way as well. So real-world testing has nowadays a device farm that can assist, and then device farms are live 24/7. Obviously, we can test different locations. We can provision various type of devices for testing, and we can simulate network types, locations, things like that. And obviously, we have modern interfaces that are changing quite a bit and very dynamic, and we can manage those much more efficient with synthetic data creation, and there are modern interfaces that enable us to do the data management. And so today, what's interesting is we have the rise of also platform as a system, and those platform automated software will cover every aspect of what we test today, not only web testing and these browser farms, but we have API tests, monitoring and visualization, a business process, and it's fairly simple. It's smart because you have self-healing capabilities in some of those tests, pretty secure environment, and scalable. So when it comes to web test automation, what we see is we can leverage the web recorders, but also we can maximize the coverage. We can have the AI-driven script repairs, meaning if the object is moved on the page, for instance, it used to be going to a traditional framework and then change and update locators. Nowadays, the auto healing will take care of it and find the object, even if it changes. You can also take the same functional tests and convert them into web performance tests. And obviously, you have the capabilities to test against multiple browsers and also operating systems. You can also combine in the platform as the testing solution API. So you have functional, you have performance as well on the API side, and you can mix and match those scripts as well. And you also have these other capabilities that come live in the package. You have process automation, you have monitoring like observability behavior, service virtualization, you have chaos testing. It can simulate the different conditions fairly easily, and you can mix different type of cases that you have. And then when it comes to mobile automation, you can out of the box have automated tasks that include screenshots, videos, assertions, even profiling. So we use, for instance, at our company, a tool called Headspin, which is a large device farm. And it has capabilities to not only run the test cases, but after the test case is already complete, you have the analysis. We can also do component level testing for a very comprehensive end-to-end business process, and visualize it, maintain collaborations, test emails, PDFs. And then when it comes to AI testing solutions, we have AI-driven test script creation, which is a robotic process automation. Traditional scripts can break quite a bit, as I mentioned. So this will eliminate some of the flakiness on the UI and interface changes, and then elements as well. There are plugins available, even leveraging nowadays ChatGPT. And then we already have the cloud, and there are also solutions where the scripts can be created themselves by a bot, as like a robot, essentially. So here is an example of low-code test automation tool that we use as well. It's called Mabel. It has a trainer with a recorder. All you have to do is point and click on elements, and it will create all the test steps for you. Those steps are easily rearranged. You can drag them up and down. You can customize locators if you really want to. You can change flows, meaning like you can convert those cases into reusable flows. and it's a really modern approach to testing in general, because it's all in a very intuitive interface. It's a unified platform where you can build and validate your tests in this a single interface. It covers everything, including API and even the mobile version of testing. And it does have the auto healing solution as well, where it will adapt the test to match the changes in your application. And then here is a pretty good example of the virtual device labs. Essentially, it results in almost 70% reduction in time to market for a lot of the new devices. And it addresses a lot of the business challenges. One of the interesting things that is trending there is bring your own device capability, meaning you can build your own farm on premise if you really want to, and as soon as you plug in your device, that device appears in the virtual cloud. So you have the capabilities of using a real device farm that the company provides, but also have capability to build on premise. And as I mentioned, you have the analytics built in, you have multi-channel testing capabilities, you have full remote control of those devices, and you can access from the global device cloud. Your team can access it from anywhere. So one of the interesting things that is also happening is accessibility testing. A lot of those tools have nowadays built-in capability where if you have to test for A11Y, this is a rapidly growing concern in the software development teams to enable accessibility testing. These tools have it built in, and you can also create any type of assertion against the web page or any element that has accessibility. It will do automatic checks as well. And then, as I mentioned, you can take your functional tests and go ahead and convert them into the performance tests. They can do test data creation. So here's an example of just AI data table creation, where you just type a sentence and say, like, I want to create 10 rows of data with email, name, phone numbers, and so on and so on. You click and like ChatGPT, similar to it, it will just generate data for you. And then what you can do is you can take the table that was generated, and that table maps right into your recorded test case. So you can go ahead and create a step, scroll to a particular checkpoint, drag and drop your items that you wanted to verify, map it to the table data, and voila, you have a data-driven test case. It goes beyond just a simple record and playback. So if you have additional logic, conditional statements, or even some of the custom JavaScript code, you can always add it in on top. So this is just a comparison humans versus machine takes several hours for a few scripts a day versus in a few hours of training of AI generated tests, you can have 100 per minute. On the left-hand side, on the human side, it's very expensive. On the generated test side, it's fairly inexpensive and less maintenance. There are also capabilities where the bots will build some of the tests automatically based on a model. So what AI bots do is they build the tests without coding or scripting, and they keep learning and getting the feedback from test executions, and then they will automatically interact with the application and build the test cases. They also have the visual reporting in terms of what each step is doing, and it really trumps legacy testing tool problems where you have all this complexity. They do integrate nowadays all these tools with DevOps and CDCI. So if you look at Bamboo, TestRail, Jenkins, Jira, all of it is all integrated. Here's a case study. This was done by a company called Maestro QA, and they had a crowdsourcing company called Rainforest writing the tests. When they converted to the low-code test automation tool called Mabel, they saved 70% of the cost. The functional test run, the increase in average number of functional test runs increased by 150%, and the reduced time to market was 50%. So when I was talking about the recent conference, I've noticed there was an interesting company called Mbot, and what they do is they do robotic model testing, and where traditional solutions, even test automations, IPM, for instance, fail, they were able to use real robots to test on real physical devices and cover a lot of the tests that the traditional test frameworks don't do. So I'm gonna show you a quick demo here what this robotic mobile testing can do for you.
Imagine a world where manual testing is obsolete, mobile app releases are shipped fast, and your users never experience bugs. Introducing Mobot, the innovative QA as a service using real mechanical robots to test mobile apps and IoT devices like humans actually use them in the real world. Our mechanical robots automate challenging regression tests that emulators and software solutions can't. Two-factor authentication, multi-device messaging, deep linking across channels, and so much more. Using a suite of over 200 real mobile devices, Mobot's full-service solution handles testing from end to end, including test case creation, test suite maintenance, detailed reporting, and integration into your development process. Mobot empowers mobile teams to launch new app features faster, without bugs, to create the best user experience possible. Working with Mobot is light touch and easy. Here's how it works. First, send us your test cases via TestRail, video, or other format, and choose which devices to test on. Next, our team programs the robots to execute your tests. No coding or setup needed from your team. Our team of QA experts oversees the robots during testing and intervenes as needed to ensure a smooth and successful run. During testing, the Mobot platform records important test data and visuals. Once done, Mobot's platform gives you a step-by-step analysis of testing, visuals of expected versus test results, and detailed logging for all bugs. Mobot test results can be easily integrated into your third-party systems like Jira, TestRail, and Slack. Reduce bugs, save time, speed up releases. This is Mobot, testing evolved. Imagine
Yeah,
a
I
world.
thought it was pretty cool. So, and then here is another quick demo for a UI testing tool.
Here is your amazing web app. It is always evolving to accommodate ever-changing technologies and user behaviors. In fact, with the adoption of modern development practices, your team probably deploys independent updates and feature releases to your app faster than ever before. However, this rapid delivery poses a challenge to traditional testing workflows. If you thoroughly test all of your changes before deployment, QA becomes a bottleneck to timely releases. If you limit testing scope to hit a release date, bugs enter production and your users suffer. To build a high-quality app with modern release velocity, you need a proactive, customer-focused testing strategy. This approach to QA is emerging in the industry as quality engineering, or QE. It means focusing on every aspect of your customer's experience across the SDLC, including non-functional elements like UX, performance, and accessibility. Every team member creates and runs automated tests at every stage of development across every affected user journey. By adopting QE, your team addresses issues early and often, preventing deployment bottlenecks and regressions. Unfortunately, the shift to QE is not achievable with legacy testing solutions, nor modern developer-focused frameworks. They require too much time, proprietary knowledge, and maintenance for widespread adoption across your entire product team. So how do you invest in QE at your organization while maintaining release velocity? Mabel, that's how. Mabel is intelligent low-code test automation for web apps. With an intuitive, unified SaaS platform, your entire team will easily author, review, and report on automated functional and non-functional tests across browsers, devices, APIs, and more. Our award-winning support team also offers live chat, training, and even technical account managers to ensure your success. By using Mabel to expand your test coverage and frequency across the SDLC, your team will maintain a much higher quality standard and release velocity for your evolving app. This shifts the QA conversation from an endless bug hunt to a true culture of quality. Elevate your app quality while building at DevOps speed. Start your free Mabel. Here is your amazing web app.
And then I have another slide for the API testing.
One of the most important terms used in developer communities, as well as within quality and software engineering teams, is API testing. Let's pop the hood on this term and take a look at what really constitutes API testing, why API testing is so important, and more importantly, why are so few teams doing it? APIs are software intermediaries which allow two or more systems to talk to each other and interconnect. For this communication to be reliable, APIs need to meet the defined requirements for functionality and performance. API tests are conducted by making several requests with different conditions and data and validating results to ensure proper functionality. API testing enables developers and testers to start testing even before the UI is completed, and also validates functionality at a unit level. As a result, UI testing cycles and the time for rework decrease. Since all this happens early in the development cycle, developers catch bugs earlier and can kill more than half the bugs within the software, making it extremely cost-efficient in the long run. API testing not only ensures that the connection between the systems is stable and reliable, but also makes it scalable. API testing is far less time-consuming than UI testing, since it's faster and provides more coverage. So that brings us to the obvious question: why aren't more teams doing API testing? That's because API testing poses several challenges, like understanding the API request, testing teams lacking technical knowledge, understanding API documentation, performance and security issues, and the high costs of API mocking. But what if you had a solution that enables seamless API testing and more at a reasonable price? Say hello to Kairos. With Kairos, teams can enhance application quality and improve speed to market with codeless automated API testing to maximize test build efficiency. Through Kairos comprehensive performance testing, teams can ensure API behavior across a range of environments and can also get rich reports which improve developers' efficiency in fixing bugs. Using Kairos, teams can reuse and import functional API tests to create end-to-end business processes by connecting multiple APIs together. What's more, with Kairos, there are no more complex testing frameworks or the need for any expensive infrastructure. Kairos is the only platform teams need for enhanced speed, efficiency, accuracy, and collaboration. Kairos, codeless and predictive test automation. One of the most
what does the future hold? I think now that we already have the computer vision, we already have the audio recognition capabilities. The next stage would be generative AI. And if you look at it, just look at the timeline from 2014 to 2023, we went through ChatGPT 1, 2, 3, and now 4. And we have training language models, LLMs. We have deep learning capabilities. The ChatGPT 4 can interact almost as a human being. And I believe in the future, we will be more relying on these platforms to help us generate test plans, test cases, and even write some of the cases for us. So thank you, and that would conclude today's presentation. Feel free to ask any questions. I'm also on LinkedIn, and if you need any additional insight in terms of tools, capabilities, just ping me, let me know. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Gary, for that. And it was informative. I was looking at it, and I have a question before I even look at all the other questions that I have out there. What do you think is the dangers? And I like to ask the question in this particular manner. What do you think is the dangers of using no code, or let me say low code, in development, test development for new testers, not people with a couple years of experience, but newbies? What are the dangers you foresee in that usage?
I think if you're talking about the dangers is, maybe in the future, some of those jobs could be replaced by artificial intelligence. And if you only focusing on purely no-code test automation as a newcomer, it actually diminishes your value over time. And I think when you have combination of no code and coded solutions, you can market yourself better to potential employers in the future. And also there are other things that coded solutions can do. For instance, unit testing obviously comes to mind, and maybe complex interactions with backend systems. And even when we have no code test automation or low code test automation, it's a compromise, because you can automate some of the things on the website and UI, But what about more complex logic, right? I can give you a quick example of what we do at Fox. So when we test, say, Fox.com website, and we test interactions with and players, and let's say you want to view some clips, we also have a backend systems that we test. Maybe you would like to know the viewership or the audience. For that, we embed a special ID3 tag in the stream on the video, and then we collect the results on the backend. That kind of test is more complex. So obviously you have to either add some snippets of the code in your no-code automation solution, or you need to add additional layer of testing. So in that case, you still end up being in a hybrid model.
Okay, thanks for that. And just as we're on this whole thing, so we build this model. It works. It doing what we wanted to do. Is there a possibility that like what he's saying, can it go rogue? Like after a while, it's just start to write test that is like you say, not valid for the purpose that it was built for. What's your take on that?
So as opposed to traditional frameworks, what I found personally using Mabel and some other tools extensively, it's very easy to author the test, create the new one, or throw away your existing test. And in 10-15 minutes, you can create this brand new one that has the same auto healing capabilities, low maintenance. You can learn new objects on the page fairly easily. And it goes for the scalability too, right? So those cases that you have are highly scalable because you have virtual machines. So if I like to run in parallel 100 test cases, I can do it easily. And if I want to do mix and match between UI and API, I can actually combine those cases as I wish. And as you said, like even if it goes wrong and becomes obsolete, just the time it takes to recreate the new case is minutes as opposed to hours.
Okay, so it has what we call invisible guide rails to keep it in check, and it will then, like you say, it will take a few minutes to regenerate new test cases if it started to drift based on what it's originally have. Okay, that yep, I get that. And I mean, no, and like you say, now the whole thing is all about codeless AI and everything. And as it stands, I mean, this is kind of a personal question, personally to you, really. If you was to build like say a bot to write test cases, what would you choose out of everything that's about there?
I think it's a compromise as usual, and it's a hybrid solution where if I would like to say, like, I have a brand new website and I don't want to spend a lot of time figuring out all the basic functionality. Maybe like I would like to verify headers, footers, some of the dynamic elements on the page. I can maybe use even visual testing tools. I can rather utilize a robot that can do a smoke test for me fairly quickly, verify stability, verify major functionality, and then I can augment the test cases where I can then add very specific functionality. For instance, if it's on Amazon, I'm making a purchase, I would like to do a checkout on the card, make a payment, then I will do specific test cases for that.
Okay, I have a question. I have a question here. I'll read it out because I don't have to. I read it. See, as far as moving to generative AI, are you thinking no QA input for entire SDLC, or maybe all testing done by development, or QA assisted? is it, and I think the further to the, if I have a question of a further part is that, if then, who is the owner? Who will be owner of the bug if it is overlooked in testing and found by the client?
I think QA is not gonna go away anytime soon because we are the experts. We know what the application functionality is. We are the subject matter experts. We understand the logic. So AI can help you in a system, but it doesn't really understand what your application is trying to do. Back to Amazon example, it doesn't really know what the developer has built as far as the logic on a checkout, right? And how it varies between mobile, for instance, on a shopping cart versus a web. So because we know this logic and what it's supposed to do, we are the we will be the guiding the blind, essentially, because at this point AI doesn't really have the understanding. But what I would like to say is what Tariq Keen called at the conference that I went to. He highly praised in the QA community. He has a PhD in computer science, and he did a presentation on AI. And what he said is the future of a QA a tester or automation is a person who would know how to use the assistive AI and ChatGPT tools and the like. And those jobs will be secure in the future because essentially it's a high-powered assistant to you. And if you learn that, if you learn how to use the prompt, how to create test cases using ChatGPT, create assertions, that saves you hours and hours of work every day. So the future will be for those type of jobs moving forward.
Cool. I mean, and I know that's one of the things, and just to kind of like jump us slightly in terms of accessibility testing and the capabilities of it. What I think the question here is, what percentage of accessibility testing can be automated, and could it be automated from our on real devices in its sense?
Yeah, so I went to a conference last year. It was by Mabel in Boston, and one of the customers for the Mabel tool is Chewy.com, right? Everybody knows Chewy, who has pets, and they had the accessibility testing. One of the I think developers was showing off the capability. So he created a very simple data-driven script that he fed into Mabel, and on the Chewy.com website, it would iterate through all the elements. It will collect all the active elements on the page, and then put it through accessibility testing. And like with one script, it was like eye-opening for me. He was able to generate hundreds and hundreds of assertions, and it was fairly quick and very intuitive. I would say, like, I would prefer it as opposed to writing something from scratch.
Thank you. And for the event of time, I will throw one more question your way before I get it to sum up. And it's to do with what is being fed into the model and by who. And by that I mean, if let's say the developers feed stuff into the model to generate test cases, wouldn't it? I think the question is, wouldn't it be more adaptable to writing test cases because and knowing what the product doing, as opposed to the QA person feeding it's feeding the model and saying, write these test cases.
I tried actually ChatGPT to create test cases and test plans and create the model like BDD, like behavior-driven development kind of thing, and then feed it into AI generate tools. It's doable. I think the key would be to work with a product and have the right requirements translated and then feed those requirements to generate the actual test cases. So I wouldn't say like there is a clear divide between QA and developers on the product. The model should be fed from multiple. To me, if you feed the data, whether it's Excel spreadsheets or just like, let's say, Jira X-Ray plugin, perfect example. X-Ray had this capability to write your BDD right into the Jira integration, right? So if you have the right requirements listed there, translate it into BDD and then add into AI model, I had very good success with that.
All right, thanks for that. And so now, I mean, like I say, in the prediction of time and the next thing else, so I'd like to ask you now to, give us, sum up, what's your parting gift to the masses out there for today?
So I guess we should embrace the future is my message, and try not to hold on to the legacy. Eventually, the legacy will die off, and the future will take over. And I think the new tools out there that are trying to solve some of the issues in development and QA, CDCI, is where we would like to be and embrace.
Okay, thank you very much for taking the time to share that with us today, and I hope the good folks at Fox realize that you didn't run away. Just take a little time to give back to the community. Okay, thank you very much for being with us.